So welcome back to the course on Articulate Storyline 360, and today we go about covering a very important concept that's called objects. Now it's pretty important to understand that anytime you work with animation software, and that may be PowerPoint, that may be Storyline, that may be anything for that matter, but you play around with objects. So those actually form the lifeline of any of the animation tools that you use. Now let's create a new project, and the way we will be proceeding ahead with our e-module is like we will be building on a single story project that's Articulate, and then we will be having a single scene that's concept, and the different slides will be different concepts. So like today's concept objects form a part of our first slide. So anyways, let's go ahead and save and name this. This is important because any time there's a power crash or maybe your file goes crazy, you will always have a backup. So let me go ahead and name this, and this is Articulate Concepts. Sorry. So this is my story file, and I told you it's pretty important to name it. So once you have named it, you still have to name your scene and the slides, right? So the story is the complete picture, and within that movie, you will be having different chapter sequences. So like we will be having one chapter, and that chapter is basically the concepts. So let's go ahead and name this, double click on this, and we name this concepts and click enter. Then again, double click on the untitled slide for that matter, and double click on this and name it objects. Okay, and then click on the object slide twice, so it opens us to the scene view. So the scene view is nothing but a collection of slides, and all the scenes, they form a part of our Articulate Concept story project. Well, so far so good. I'll click Ctrl S just so that this thing gets saved. Now like I told you, it's pretty important that we kind of get familiar with this environment, because this is something that we will be keep seeing day in day out. Now you see there's something called as a timeline right at the bottom, but there is nothing that will last for 5 seconds. So we want certain things to come on the canvas here, right? The canvas is nothing but the slide that we have with us right now. The way we can add a new slide is simply by clicking on the slide and then clicking new slide. So it adds a new slide at the bottom, or we can simply duplicate a slide by clicking Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. So it keeps on adding slides. So the next slides, again, we can simply click on this and then accordingly name it. So the next concept that we will be learning is like object states. So we can do that. Right now we have nothing on the object states slide either. So on the object slide, let's go ahead and insert certain objects. Now the way you will be inserting is by clicking on insert, and then you will be seeing there's a variety of options. So you can go ahead and insert a character object for that matter. Now this is something which is very special and unique to Articulate. You can bring life to your projects by inserting characters. Now these are certain free characters out here. In case you have a license or a subscription, you can also have paid characters. So I decide to insert Brandon for that matter. Click on insert, and there you see Brandon has come. Now there's an option called as crop. Certain times you want to simply display a certain portion of the character. So you crop this and click enter and just simply drag it. So like I didn't click enter. So I simply click out of the frame and Brandon comes. So this is Brandon. So okay, this is basically my character object. Now you'll see Brandon comes, but the object is titled character. I can simply double click there and name him Brandon, just like the character himself. Now why is this important? Say I have 10 characters here. They will be titled character 1, character 2, character 3 on a timeline. Now it's important that I understand that when I have multitude of characters and I decide to attach certain triggers or functions to them, having them named gives me the ease and liberty of knowing that, well, even if I have many characters and I attach Brandon a certain trigger, well, Brandon will be made use of. I mean, if you have 100 people and you know Ram for that matter, so you want to attach a trigger, so you can attach a trigger to Ram instead of character 1, character 2, because that would create confusion. So it's always good to kind of, name your objects. Well, I can also go ahead and insert maybe say a shape. So I will insert say a rectangle, and then I can decide that I may want to give it certain color. So that you do by shape fill out here. I may give it red color, maybe boundaries with shape outline, or no boundaries at all, but no outline, and then maybe give some reflection around the corners. So this is how you'll be inserting a certain shape, and then you may write a text inside Now whatever text you write inside, you will see that it comes and gets displayed to the object. But still the object name is even now by default kept as rectangle. So you can decide like what you want to have. So say for example, I want to attach a function, a trigger function, which is next. So it's better that I name it next, you know. So well, if that's not making sense, don't worry. It will, like when we touch on the trigger concept. Well, we can not only attach like, you know, uh, buttons, I mean shapes, we can also attach buttons. So these are buttons out here. So this is a button for that matter. And I will just give it maybe some color from here or maybe some color from here. So say I decide to give it a green color, decide to have no boundary, decide to have some reflection around the edges, and say this is make him smile. So this, what I want to do is when the user clicks on this, I want Brandon to smile. Well, all that is possible and we will be looking at how that's done. But before we leave you, we also want to touch upon a slide concept, and that's referred to as object states. Now you see here like this button out here. Well, if I click on the button, that is I click on the object and I click on states, you'll see that it has certain states: hover, down, visited, disabled. But if I click on the shape here, like you see there are no states attached to it. Now on the timeline, I can switch between timeline and the states. Now this is pretty important to understand. So the shape has no default states of its own. The button has like default states: hover, down, visited, disabled. Although as of now they all have the same design. And Brandon as of now has no states, but it has certain hidden states which we will be looking upon in due course. So these are certain things referred to as object states. Well, like I said, this is not just like, you know, like certain few objects. You can have lot many other objects onto your canvas. You can insert a picture, a video, icons, various other things. But this is something that you will be doing a lot. And also please realize that all of them occupy your slide or your movie frame for a period of 5 seconds in the timeline. You can decide and make certain things less, certain things more. So that's completely your choice, like which one you want to make it on the timeline, say for 3 seconds, which one for 5 seconds. That's completely your choice. Well, that's all for now. Next, we look at object states and how we can kind of play around with them, or maybe how we can attach when there are no object states to a certain shape. So stay tuned.